Viewers, the last few days, there has been nothing but the bank scam at Punjab National Bank that has been doing the rounds. Every channel worth its salt has been tom-tomming about how there has been a failure, and as hours pass, we are finding out new things that are coming out, that are emerging. For instance, I don't know how many of you read my article today in PGurus.com, where I had written about how a low-cost software, which was functional, robust, and did everything needed, including all the security checks, was replaced by another software that was 25 times the price. And having replaced the software, the new software is having all sorts of problems. So we have in India a serious problem now. This smacks, when you have a competing software come in at 25 times the price, there's something that is really stinking about it. To talk about this and other things that have emerged in the PNB scam since the last time we talked, we have with us Sri M.R. Venkatesh. MRV, welcome to PGurus.
Good evening, sir.
So, MRV, I know you just got off the same debate on a different channel, and I really thank you, since it's really late in the night for you, and I'm still starting out fresh. In the PNB scam, I want you to try and focus on things that you think are the most pertinent. And I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm not going to rebut you. I'm not going to do anything until you say you're done.
Okay. Yada yada hi adharmasya, Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. If he has to say the same thing now, it would be that yada yada hi adharmasya, there is a Congress hand. So wherever there is adharma, there will be Congress. So you have to understand that this scam definitely is a Congress scam. Congress cannot duck it. Congress is guilty of error of commission, no doubt about it. But what about BJP? The BJP is guilty of error of omission. If Congress is guilty of error of commission, BJP is guilty of error of omission. Now, day in, day out in all channels, it is really disheartening to see the BJP guys and the BJP spokesperson trying to corner the Congress, and the Congress trying to wriggle out and somehow or the other deflect the whole blame game. Now, 3.5 years later, when you draw the balance sheet of this government in terms of fighting corruption, and believe me, fighting corruption is not limited to only Aadhaar cards and digitization and demonetization. There was an explicit mandate by the people of this country who voted 340 odd MPs to the Lok Sabha in the NDA regime, asking these MPs to take action on those who were allegedly corrupt in the previous regime. Now, after 3.5 years, you draw the balance sheet and you find nothing. Not even an FIR has been lodged against anybody. So the message is loud and clear that the BJP has been penetrated by the Congress. It has been completely compromised from within in terms of taking action. And now the people are fearing the worst, that in the rest 1.5 years, nothing big will happen. So this PNB scam is a tipping point. And let me complete Mr. Iyer, last sentence. It's a tipping point for Narendra Modi. If he has to win the hearts of all those who voted for him, and they are ready to back for him, no doubt about it, he has to walk the talk of 2014. He has to put people behind bars. He has to make people accountable. And for starters, the previous finance minister, the previous governors of RBI, the previous secretaries in the FinMin, the previous economic department secretaries, joint secretaries, all those, including the board and the present board of PNB, all have to be put under sustained custodial interrogation. Narendra Modi's time begins now.
I couldn't agree with you. Coming back to your point, I couldn't agree with you more. I have had the same kind of a challenge when I have been placing a lot of issues where it has been almost like I am presenting to this current government a banana with the skin peeled off.
Exactly, and they refuse to chew it.
Yes, it doesn't get more obvious than that. And I'm surprised at the inaction of agencies like Securities and Exchange Board of India on some black and white instances of white-collar crime.
What you said was, can I continue?
Yeah, please go ahead.
What you said is absolutely right. It's not only you, Mr. Iyer. There are a lot of people, a lot of issues, a lot of places where we have found that this government has been loaded with extraordinary amount of information. And what we finally find is that we have hit a dead end. For instance, I have filed a 40,000 crore scam in the RBI regulation. All banks dated way back to 2008 with the special investigation team, which was actually constituted by the Supreme Court. And all that I hear is that this scam must be the mother of all scams because the origination of this scam is in RBI. But nothing has happened. People tell me that nothing is progressing. The SIT is virtually gone into oblivion. So you see, somewhere down the line, I get a feeling this government wants to bite, but is afraid to wound. It wants to have the best of both worlds. And if you try to walk or try to balance between two stools, you end up falling between. I'm only worried that this government somehow or the other understands that it cannot hunt with the hare and run with the dog. I'm mixing my metaphor purposefully. That this government is trying to be too clever by trying to run with the hare and hunt with the hare and run with the hound. That is what this government is doing.
That's a clever turn of phrase. To add to your point, we at PGurus had written about this Forex derivative scam, and it was a 5-part series. It explained what really happened, how the sudden influx of participatory notes into the Indian financial system drove up the value of the rupee in a very quick way, and the exporters were kind of caught with the proverbial pants down situation, and they wanted to hedge against that, and the hedging proposition that was given was something that was ruinous for them because many of them lost their shirt on it. So I'm sorry to say that because many of them are actually garment exporters. So it in a way this metaphor fits. So I know what happened, and I think my fear is that maybe there is no judge in Supreme Court qualified enough to understand the nuances of banking, finance, derivatives. I mean, this requires someone to really read up on this, spend hours talking to specialists, getting the hang of things before he can sit in judgment over it. Maybe that is one possibility. I'm just giving the benefit of doubt to the Supreme Court. What do you think, sir?
I agree. But Supreme Court does understand all these technicalities. They have the wherewithal. That's why they are judges. For instance, on medical, they take views on extreme situation like patents. They do rulings. They do rulings on trademarks. So judges are competent. But somehow the system is lacking. But we are not talking about the system. We are talking about the system because we have actually voted one man called Narendra Modi to fix the system. We know the system is bad in India. And what were we promised? We were promised Achhe Din. We were not promised scam a day. We were not promised people would be fleeing out of this country and government will be cringing its hands. Rather, we were told that people who are high and mighty, howsoever high and mighty they are, and if they indulge in any wrongdoing, the law will take its own course and it will take a quick course. But unfortunately, it is not. That is worrying me because today what I see is an exasperation amongst all BJP supporters. In fact, as you gave me an introduction about how I just finished one debate in a popular English channel in India, I had to take on some of the BJP spokespersons themselves who were going on telling that the action has been taken, a couple of guys have been arrested. Who has been arrested? Some of the clerks and deputy managers and deputy general managers. I don't care because those are Lilliputs. They are those who are poor people who are doing a command performance. There were layers and layers of onion above them. And who are they? They must be the bank officials, bank directors. Then on top of them, finance ministry officials. On top of them, RBI officials, and on top of them, political bosses. I don't care who it is. He should have been, by this time, all those people should have been lined. And it's around 20 days since the government knew about this fraud and the FIR has been filed. Not big names have been arrested. And if a similar fraud had happened in, say, US, I'm sure Alan Greenman and the FBI and the CBIs and others, and they would be facing custodial interrogation as to what they did and what they didn't do. But here, nobody asks what Raghuram Rajan did, and it is virtually like Raghuram Rajan is Raghuram Gandhi. You can't question him. So we need to come and ask these questions. If he was oblivious of this fraud, why? If he was in the know of the fraud, what did he do? And as you said, why was a software which was 25 times more costly than the previous one smuggled into the system? And if it is costly or not costly, that is secondary. Why is it that it has not performed or captured the particular transmission of data through the SWIFT system into the books of accounts? A fraud doesn't happen of this magnitude unless several people connive and several people actively take part and are actively criminally negligent. They are not passively criminally negligent, they are actively criminally negligent. In this case, I see several of them actively criminally negligent, and I want them to be brought to books. Government's time is now. Government has to act. It has to walk the talk. It cannot simply say Congress, it's a Congress scam. That doesn't give me any damn thing. My father asks me whether his money, which he has put after 40 years of hard work in a bank, whether it is safe at the fag end of his life. I didn't have the guts to tell him the money is safe, because I am really scared about what is the depth of this program. People say it is 11, 12, 15,000 crores, but I do not know how many PNBs are there, how many such Nirav Modis are there up in the market, and how many LOUs are being floated around. And in all probability, Mr. Iyer, I can say, I would be surprised if this scam is anything less than 50,000 crores.
Wow, 50,000 crores. That's a very, very large amount of money. Viewers, one of the interesting things that I found is, after I wrote that article about the switch in software, there have been a lot of very prescient observations by people who have worked with this system. And one of the things that I want to bring out in this discussion, Mr. MRV, for your attention, is said, and I'm not going to pass judgment and say yes it is so or no it is not so. They said that in the new Finacle software, even after a user's account has been frozen, that user can still go to the ATM and withdraw cash. Now, this is a serious comment by one of our readers. I would like Infosys to read this, go through this, and give an explanation. In fact, this is not just the only one. There are lots of other things, lacunae, that have been pointed out, that this expensive software is actually having more issues than something that was much more robust, homegrown, done by an entrepreneur on a shoestring budget. I mean, I can go on and on, but the point I'm trying to make here is that I would like to see the finance minister. Come on, this is your department. Doesn't matter if it happened in your previous finance minister's watch. You owe an answer to the nation. People are really at the edge of their seats wondering if their money is safe. And I can, like you're speaking for your father, Mr. MRV, I speak for my mother, and she's 81 years old, and she's just sleeping peacefully, thinking that whatever money she has in the bank is safe. Come on now, I think this is the least that the finance minister can do. I mean, I'm really shocked about that.
In fact, last 3 days, at least 6-7 octogenarians or nonagarians have called me and asked this question, whether their money is safe. You as a citizen, as a chartered accountant, as an activist, you feel vacuous inside when you are unable to answer this question. When people pose such type of question, whether money in the bank is safe, and it actually eats the vitals. Because, at the end of the day, every aged Indian wants to leave a couple of lakhs or whatever they have saved for their next generation. This is how our traditional elders are. And to go and tell them and that money is, banks are now becoming dodgy, is really, really tough call to take. And the question itself haunts you right through the night, Mr. Iyer. That's the problem. It haunts you again and again when people ask these type of questions. Of course, Indian banking system is safe, but as I told you, how many more Nirav Modis are lurking in the market, we do not know. And this is the type of supervision done by RBI. And that is the key question. They have daily reports, weekly reports, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, yearly. All sorts of reports go and all sorts of things are tallied by RBI. But yet scam after scam happens. And if Narendra Modi has to really put the system in place, he has to suspend the entire RBI board now and here. The same set of people who let the system bleed, why and how the system bled. Now Narendra Modi has to suspend the entire, put in a new team, probably under some completely, totally unconnected professional from the banking system, and who must have nothing to do with the banking system. Take him out from the whole outside world. And what is happening in RBI? You're seeing bandicoots who are there for the last 20 years, 15 years in the RBI board. And these people go out, and these people are the people who come in. Prime ministers may go, presidents may come in, but these bandicoots are a constant. So Narendra Modi has to understand that time to actually fix the entire banking problem is by fixing the RBI board. RBI board has to be swept with one gigantic broom and cleansed of all its bandicoots, and have a fresh set of people who will start questioning why, when, where, what, how. And that will lead a better administration of a banking system.
And to add to your point, Mr. MRV, I think, and I'm being very fair and unbiased in this, Mr. Modi suffers from an intelligence deficit in the members of his cabinet. And having seen 4 years, and I've lived with hope that some real brains will come into the cabinet and help out in some of these things, I'm really aghast that the defense minister still wants to keep quiet on something that is within her purview and wants to wax eloquent on something else. Come on, give me a break. Are we stupid? Do you think us for stupid people, that just because you come and make a statement on something else, that whatever you are responsible for is going to be forgotten? I mean, and this is not just one instance. There are many other things that are happening. I think as a rule, we're all a little bit concerned about what is going on. And I think the swift motion, or the swift action that is really needed is what we are looking for from Mr. Modi.
So it must take action on the SWIFT and the perpetrators of the fraud through the SWIFT. And that cannot happen. Tell me, I can give you an assurance. If you're going to have the same set of people in RBI, you're not going to walk any further. You actually have to have a new set of people. You give it, again, the audit will be done by the Big Four, who are also hand in glove with this rogue elements in RBI. You give it to all these people, all not going to work. You have to have, Narendra Modi must pick somebody totally out of the blue, like what, say, PV Narasimha Rao did in 1991 by picking Manmohan Singh totally out of the blue and brought him in. So that gave a fresh whiff of fresh air. Likewise, Narendra Modi probably has to bring in totally different personality into the RBI and say that, look, I give you the complete freedom and do whatever you want and clean the mess. And that's how it is. Unfortunately, even having Vinod Rai as some sort of a personality within the system has not worked, because the system is so corroded. Let us also give the devil its due. System is completely corroded. It's corroded. It will never allow anybody else to actually work, and anybody outside will get smothered from within. So you have to actually do what Narendra Modi did to the currency regime. He has to do to the regulatory regime. He has to have a pause button. He has to say, okay, RBI doesn't exist for a few days, so be it. Let me bring in fresh blood. Let there be no banking supervision for 5-7 days. But I will have a fresh board. I will have a fresh set of people. I will have a fresh set of auditors, fresh set of people who will do the entire cleansing exercise. And that must be monitored by him with the PMO. Leaving it to anybody else, I'm sorry, again, this will not work. Time to fix the RBI banking mess is now. Narendra Modi ji walk the talk.
Thank you very much, Mr. MRV. And with that, we conclude this discussion on the bank scam. We will come back to you with other scams soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.